Hello guys, have you ever heard about migration? Well, I bet you have, but I'm not quite sure if you're very familiar with the kind of service, the objective, and how they accomplish the objective. Now, in this video, we're basically going to share with you some perceived objective, some language barrier, and possible solution. Now, the kind of the concept and the ideas that we are going to share with you are going to be creative, basic, and very practical. So, stay tuned.
The Organization of Migration also aims to ensure the security in the country. That means that it has as an objective to ensure the security in the country. Let's summarize an immigrant who comes maybe from South Africa to Mozambique, and this immigrant possesses false documents such as passport, as well as ID. And when he arrives at the border, they would probably ask him to show them his passport and ID. But if they, unlikely if they are unable to identify false documents, they would probably let him go. So the language barrier would be not being able to identify false documents. So, to minimize or to sort out this kind of problem, the Organization of Migration should consider not only to hire the employees who are able to communicate effectively, but also to hire employees who are able to identify false documents in order to ensure the security in the country. Thank you.
Migration is to contribute to the development of the country. As we know that this development doesn't only depend on the country in case, it needs also to communicate with other countries so that this development may be effective. So these other countries may not be speaking the same language of the country of that organization. So to ensure that this objective is effectively achieved, they may need to communicate with these countries which are not speaking the same language. So, for example, we are talking about Mozambique. In Inhambane province, the official language of Mozambique is Portuguese. Documents are written in Portuguese. All the transactional documents are written in Portuguese, while other countries may be using English as their language of communication. So, during the process of communication, which we know that this communication is a process of sharing ideas, experiences, and beliefs and thoughts, then during this process, they may encounter some language barriers. Some of these language barriers may be misinterpretations of documents. Here we're talking about transactional documents, financial documents. Then, during the process of reading, interpreting these documents, may encounter some with many difficulties. That difficulty may lead to not understanding the message, the goal of these documents. Then, to overcome this problem, this institution may need to hire people who are trained, who are specialized in this process of communication, in the language of communication. We're talking about international language, which is English. In this case, they may need to hire these people of which are trained to speak in English speaking, in English language speaking. So if that is not possible, they may take the workers who are already working in the organization to undergo a certain kind of formation of training, a training course to that specific language in order to be trained, in order to be specialized in communication with other countries. So if it's possible to hire people who are trained in this matter, in these issues of communication, language speakers in this case, English language speakers in this case, these language speakers may also be a sort of trainers of these people who are already working in that organization.
Well, migration also aims to create or to establish good international relationship with migration from countries around the world. For example, migration of Ian Mashish, communicate with the migration of South Africa, communicate with the migration from Zimbabwe, Angola, and so on. That's exactly the reason why they have to create or to establish this international relationship with other migration from countries around the world. Now, one of the language barrier that can affect negatively in the accomplishment of this objective has to do with the poor communication skill, which involves not only a lack of vocabulary, misunderstanding of accent, but also the misinterpretation of messages. I mean, we believe that this poor communication skill may result in miscommunication between the workers of migration from here in Mashish and other migration from other countries or other provinces. I mean, communication and migration can only be effective only if the workers have competence enough in terms of communication skill. Now, as a solution, firstly, we propose to teach English to the workers so that they can be able to communicate effectively in English. However, if during this process of teaching the workers how to communicate in English, we realize that, well, it's not being effective, it's not being practical as much as we planned or as much as we expected, then we propose to design an online course which will have videos, tutorials specific for migration. And so all the migration, the workers of migration, not only from Mashish but also from other parts of the countries, they will be benefit from this. They will have access of this online course. Not only that, we also propose to have a specialist, someone who has undergone an English course and is able to speak well English, communicate very well, someone who is always going to be in the organization whenever there is a necessity to interpret documents, to produce documents, also to teach other co-workers his basic.
One of the objectives of migration is migration legality movement, which has to deal with checking the documents such as ID, visa, passport, etc., etc., just to understand, just to know whether people are coming to the country legally or not. So these acts that depend mostly on the development of the country, on the economy of the country, that people will come to the country, that foreigners will come to the country looking for the opportunities of the lab. I'm talking about jobs, tourists, research. Of course, people can come in the country to do some researches, right? So this is the big aim of migration, to understand whether people are coming with good intentions or not. So the barriers actually can be the lack of effective interpretation of such written documents. Not only that, but also the lack of knowledge of writing skill, right? And limitation in the language in the English language, let's say. And also we have the solution how to solve such problems that I mentioned in the barriers, right? So to solve that problems, actually it's need to go in a specific training in order to be fluent, in order the workers will be let's say fluent in the language and efficient in reading papers. Not only that, but also to provide let's say non-native speakers to help them in the areas of interpretation of the documents, and also the different, and also provide different expressions from the language from the many cultures in the language used.
Another objective is to control and treat passport to native citizens that travel abroad. Immigration is one of the most visited departments of the government. Therefore, the people who work there, they have been using the language frequently. They exchange words with many different people, where sometimes they deal with people that travel to countries was their official language is English, and they face problems that force them to treat passport. And when they arrive here in the migration situation, they usually create language barrier trying to communicate with the official So because they have the qualified employees that are able to speak English language. So the solution for that is the government have to create an organization that will form all the officials of immigration institutions to know at least the basic English in order to avoid this kind of problem, especially on the attendance office. Thank you.
Well, we've shared here with you some of the objectives of migration here in Mozambique, and we know that this institution here in Mozambique doesn't work on itself, but it works with the relation with other countries and other institutions of other countries that they are using another language. As we know that in Mozambique we are using Portuguese as our official language. Then we've shared also some language barriers that may encounter during the process of communication with other institutions, and not only that, we shared also some possible solution to overcome these language barriers. Then you just comment on below if you like the video, what you think about this video, about these language barriers, and you like the video.